Ollama, LM Studio, and Kimi Code all promise to run your coding agent, but only one of them is actually free once you scale past a hobby project. The biggest surprise in the research, the cheap cloud option, isn't cheap at all. Users report it burning through way more tokens than Claude for the same work. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one deserves a spot on your machine, and which one is quietly I'm asking you to pay twice. Ollama and LM Studio are both free to download and run locally, so that's a tie on entry price, according to official docs. Kimi Code has no local option at all. It's cloud only, and it starts at $19 a month for the Moderato tier, jumping to $189 for the top tier. Here's where it gets interesting. Ollama's cloud subscription runs $20 a month for Pro, which actually beats Kimi Code's $9 entry point once you factor in what you're getting. Unlimited GPU-backed inference versus a capped agent subscription. LM Studio doesn't even have a clean subscription number yet. Its cloud option is pay-as-you-go credits, and the Bionic Pass tier is still listed as coming soon. So Ollama wins this one. It's free locally, and its cloud tier undercuts Kimi Code on the subscription math. We'll get to that. Kimi Code does publish the only transparent per-token API price of the 3.095 Rs per million input tokens and 4 OZRs per million output tokens, but that number matters a lot less once you see how it holds up under real use. Ollama and LM Studio are both free to download and run locally, so that's a tie on entry price, according to official docs. I went through the official docs, pricing pages, and community benchmarks for all three, so you don't have to open 12 tabs to figure this out yourself. Kimi Code is the only one of these three that actually publishes its own coding benchmark score. K2.7 Code reports 76.8% on SWE Bench verified. Ollama and LM Studio don't have a benchmark score of their own because they're hosts, not models. Your coding performance depends entirely on what you load into them. And that's the twist. Load Qwen 3 Coder into either one, and you're looking at 69.6% SWE Bench verified. Model flexibility is a clean tie here. Ollama and LM Studio can both run any GGUF model, including Kimi K2 itself, while Kimi Code is locked to its own K2.7 and K3 models. So Kimi Code technically wins this test on raw score, but the gap to a free, self-hosted alternative is a lot thinner than the headline suggests. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. That's a strong number, but it's vendor reported. There's no independent SWE bench verified confirmation yet, so treat it as a claim, not a confirmed result. That's within 7 points of Kimi's headline number, running on hardware you already own. On Apple Silicon, this isn't close. On an M3 Ultra, LM Studio hits 237 tokens per second on a 1B model against Ollama's 149. If you're on a Mac, that gap is real enough to feel in your daily workflow. On NVIDIA hardware, it's a different story. Both land in a similar range for 7 to 8B models, roughly 120 to 150 tokens per second for Ollama, and 95 to 160 for LM Studio. Call that one a tie. Kimi Code's cloud speed sits around a 180 tokens per second for standard K2.7 code, with a high-speed variant running 5 to 6 times faster, though that's tier-gated. LM Studio takes this test outright because of the Apple Silicon gap. If you're not on a Mac, that advantage mostly disappears. LM Studio's MLX backend runs 26 to 60% faster than Ollama, community reported but unverified across multiple benchmark runs. That's a genuinely fast cloud option, but it only matters if your connection and your plan can actually reach it. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Kimi Code wins this one clean. It offers up to 1 million tokens of context on higher membership tiers, and up to 128,000 tokens of max output per request. That's the largest window of the three, according to vendor documentation. Ollama and LM Studio are both capped by whatever VRAM you've got. Ollama's context ranges from 4K up to 256K, depending on your hardware, and Ollama actually recommends 64K as the practical ceiling for coding work. LM Studio defaults to a small 2 to 4K window out of the box, though you can push it higher per model using the context slider in the GUI. For everyday prompts and normal-sized functions, this test barely matters. Your hardware's VRAM will decide the real limit long before you hit Kimi's 1 million tokens. So if you're generating a massive file in one shot, or feeding an entire repo into context, Kimi Code's ceiling is the only one built for that scale. Local deployment is a tie between Ollama and LM Studio. Both run fully offline, no login required. Kimi Code requires a cloud connection every time. There's no offline mode at all. Kimi Code pulls ahead on IDE integration. It plugs natively into VS Code, Cursor, JetBrains, and Zed through its ACP protocol. Kimi K3 also supports native image and video input, while vision on Ollama and LM Studio depends entirely on which model you've loaded. But Ollama wins the deployment test overall because of headless and server flexibility. LM Studio has a headless CLI too, but Kimi Code is fundamentally a terminal tool built around one workflow, not a system you deploy across infrastructure. Ollama and LM Studio both rely on their OpenAI-compatible APIs to connect to third-party tools, which works, but it's a layer of setup Kimi Code skips entirely. It runs as a system service with a REST API on port 11434, and it supports Docker deployment out of the box. That's exactly what you want if you're running this on a server instead of your desktop. Ollama wins on cost. It's free locally, and its $20 cloud tier beats Kimi Code's subscription math. It also wins deployment thanks to Docker support and a REST API built for servers. LM Studio wins one test outright, speed on Apple Silicon, 26 to 60% faster than Ollama. Everywhere else, it trades blows or ties. Ollama wins on cost. It's free locally, and its $20 cloud tier beats Kimi Code's subscription math. It also wins deployment thanks to Docker support and a REST API built for servers. Ollama is the winner here, 2 dimensions to 1, with 0 ties in the head-to-head tees. If you want the cheapest, most flexible way to run coding models, and you don't mind loading Qwen 3 Coder yourself to get within striking distance of Kimi's benchmark score, Ollama is your default. LM Studio is the better pick, specifically if you're on a Mac and want that MLX speed advantage with a more polished GUI. Kimi Code only makes sense if peak out-of-the-box coding performance matters more to you than owning your setup, and you're fine paying a subscription for it. The decisive reason, Ollama gets you most of Kimi Code's coding capability for free, on hardware you already control, and it doesn't lock you into a cloud dependency to keep working. Kimi Code markets itself as the cheap alternative to Claude, and on paper, 0.95 per million input tokens and 4.0 per million output tokens looks like a bargain. But community reports say, Kimi Code consumes way more tokens than Claude to do the same work, so that low sticker price doesn't actually translate into a lower bill. Check your real token usage before you assume you're saving money. If you want to see exactly how Qwen 3 Coder performs inside Ollama versus LM Studio on a real coding task, that comparison is coming next, so stick around for that one.